Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, and the board will do its deliberations and decisions whether to continue with this and send it to the town council at a later date, or send everything to the town council.
Why does it feel like midnight?
Yeah, it does feel late, but if I can, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I think there's a lot of things that were said tonight that I think was valuable, and I know there were two documents that when one of the gentlemen read it out, but there was another document that we didn't really see. And I think there's a lot of data there that, that needs to be reviewed, and that's just my opinion.
That's,
I hate to keep pushing this thing all down and down and down, but, with the amount of feedback that we got and the write-ins, I don't know if it makes sense to vote on it
We
tonight.
would have to have another hearing, I think.
I would agree.
Oh, you have to go.
I think we need to take this back to the planning board for a workshop session, because there's certainly some good input, and I think collectively it would have a substantial effect. And then set it up, and then have another hearing on this, and then send it to the town council.
What do you think, Tony?
I mean, yeah, this stuff here that we could change, there's some stuff that I don't think is necessary. I think there's some stuff that is important, but it's already somewhere else. So it doesn't have to be here. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is one of those where we've had several public hearings on this. We've got to this point. I think if we push it out any further, there'll be cries of kicking the can down the road. That this isn't fully baked. It goes to the council. It has opportunity to have amendment and revision there. They can look at these comments and that
I was just gonna say, are these comments gonna go to town council?
So can I just add some? So my intention is to, if you move this to council, would be to take the documents that Mr. Carson and Deb provided and make sure that I give those to the full council as well, so they have time to digest it. And then the purpose of their first reading would be to have that dialogue similar to a work session at the planning board. That's what I envision that first reading to look like. And they'll give the feedback as they see fit at that time. I'm sure they'll have other feedback as well, and go from there. That's how I envision it going, if you move it to the council, but that's just me.
I think either way, it would get accomplished.
Right, no, I just wanna make sure though, that those comments and things are
I
included
prefer
from
having
town
another
council's
meeting
decision.
on it, because I couldn't even see on my screen here the corrections.
No, it's because it's not on there.
It isn't on there.
There's a,
It's right here.
It's,
It's on the website. So yeah, I
says
mean, I
PUD
understand.
changes.
That was me, you can ignore that, I'll delete that, sorry.
Yeah, I understand what Ann is saying. I would rather give it to, now that I'm thinking a little more, I would rather give it to town council, have the public hearings on their end. I mean, my experience with this kind of stuff is, there's been very few times that a planning board has sent something to town council where 100% of the language has stayed the same. That, for the most part, changes have been made on the town council level, which is fine and acceptable and okay to do and part of the process.
the other
And
possibility.
I don't have a problem with that.
I just want to interrupt quickly, is that the town council has sent it back to the planning board with their recommendations of what to do.
Sometimes that happens as well. Either way, it wouldn't hurt us to have the town council be on record with whatever you want to call it, a first draft or this draft or whatever. Even if it bounces back, at least they're a part of the process. excuse me, they're a part of the process. So, I don't have a problem moving it forward, with the documentation that Kelly has from the input at today's meeting, and seeing what happens. And if they have questions, I would be willing to volunteer to go to the, town council meeting, just to be there in case there's specific questions that they wanna ask, of the planning board. And, we can take it from there. So, either way.
Kelly?
I just want to clarify a couple of things. So if this moves to council, just to reiterate, the board's providing a recommendation to move this draft ordinance to the council for their action, whatever that action is. What I send to the council, based on what I heard so far tonight, the board provided consensus that about section 524H, which is the active the phasing language, adjusting that to change the word from commercial to residential.
Mm-hmm.
That's the consensus formal change I heard.
Yes.
And then, so that's the change I will make to the document that's on the screen, the draft document. So when it's posted as draft document, that's what everyone's gonna see. And then the council will also get the meeting minutes, the two pieces of written comment that I have. And obviously however you vote tonight, should you move it to them. I just want to clarify that because one of the things one of you said was the council will receive, or something like, I'll put together all the feedback. That doesn't equate to me amending this draft.
Right.
It equates to, you gave a consensus on one section, I'll amend that because it's not significant enough. Thank you. But I'm trying to make this as clear as possible, but it's not coming out quite right.
That's the only amendment, but all the other feedback
Yeah,
goes with it, but the feedback doesn't get incorporated.
Right, that's not to say that the council won't get the feedback. It's just saying, I'm trying to make very clear that we're not proposing further amendments to the draft at this time. It sounds like the board is saying, if you move it to the council, that the council can make that decision at the time. Did that,
That is,
got it?
that's correct.
Not saying that.
So that's where we're at. You decide what you want to do.
So I will take a motion.
Just so, for the sake of argument, I'll make a motion that we, move this to the town council, with the change that we agreed to, and can I say, documentation from public comment?
Sure.
So that's my motion.
I have a motion by Tony. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Ryan. Okay, discussion?
I understand what Tony's getting at and everybody's getting at, is this needs to be done. And this needs to be done years ago. So, let's get it moving. Let's make sure that everybody's comments are in there. I will probably attend the town council as well, just because I kind of want to see what's going to happen to it. But as long as they have all the data, I have full faith in the town council and the fact that the town council was here tonight. They could voice her opinion too, and we have another town councilor here. I mean, so I'm okay, and they're aware of the discussions that happened tonight, so I'm perfectly comfortable.
If for no other reason, it provides for them to be more a part of the process than they have been in the past because of how the system works.
Right.
Whether that's good or bad is up to interpretation, but as one person, I would like them to be more involved in something that's this big, because when something this big comes to them and they get beat over the head, at least they were part of it, part of the reason why they're getting beat over the head, instead of the planning board sending it and making them get beat over the head. You see what I'm saying? So I'd,
Oh, yeah, I get
I'd
it.
like,
We
I'd
can
like
blame
the
them.
give and take.
So
If it gets,
they've
if
got
it gets
some
bounced
freedom
back,
to do what they see as workable, because their perspective is different from ours. We're looking at it as a purely planning, you know,
yeah.
type
And
of
if it
function.
bounces back, that's not gonna hurt my feelings,
Right.
because they're part of the process. They're part of this whole thing, because it affects the whole town. This is a big deal, right? So,
Yep.
that's the reason why, and
The town council originally wanted it very quickly, but, I mean, we've been very deliberate in our process of going through it.
this is not a very quickly thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's just the way it is, between the legality of it and all the other dovetailing problems, for lack of a better term.
Quickly tends to get you bad results. You go
100%.
fast, you mess up.
100%.
Right.
And I'd rather, yeah.
He's-
I mean, I feel good about this document, what was done. Some good suggestions. Some of them don't make sense, because they make sense on its own, but when you talk about how these things work, it doesn't work. Common sense sometimes doesn't work when it comes to a municipality. And I learned that early on in my life. And while some of these comments are valid and important, it's just not gonna work. Or it's already there, and they don't know it, because trying to understand how a municipality works is so darn complicated that they don't understand that this is just one thing. There's a whole briefcase full of documents this big that this refers to, right? So the comment, great idea, we're already doing that. You know, so anyway, Ann, I don't know if you had anything to say about, I mean, I know what you,
I'd
I know what you
prefer
wanna
having
do.
it,
I know what
the
you wanna
planning
do.
board.
Yeah,
to-
yeah, so, I think we're gonna take a
Just
vote.
Yep, but, we'll go for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay. I know you.
One nay.
Okay, one nay, chair votes affirmative, so it's 4-1-0 vote. Motion carries.